Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture. Let's bring on the host, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs.
Hello everyone, I'm Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs, and you are listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio, a rock and roll show all about pets, people, and pop culture. I'm live from Las Vegas, and today I'm talking about animal documentaries with filmmaker Kenn Bell, so stay right there.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Here we are again for another Vegas Rock Dog Radio show. And I am live from Las Vegas. My partner in crime here is Jim DeRigo.
Good morning to you and to all the people of the earth. I wasn't prepared for my introduction that soon.
I just thought I'd get that in very, very early. Well, welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs, and I'm glad you're listening into the show. If you are brand new to the show and you want to find other places to connect with us on the internet, it's rather easy. Our website is vegasrockdogradio.com. You'll also find us on Periscope periodically, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Tumblr, Instagram, and we have a blog. The blog is therockandrolldog.com, and that's where we tell you who's coming on the show, who's been on the show. We also tell you about new products, giveaways, some reviews, and those kind of things. So that's therockandrolldog.com. We do have an app, and the Yap app is what you need to download. It's free. You'll go to yap.us, that's YAPP.us, and then you will just download Vegas Rock Dog Radio onto your app. Really, really easy. Now, if you're one of those people where, like us, we are very, very busy, I love to listen to podcasts at my own leisure. You can do that also with the show. So the two most popular platforms right now, iTunes and iHeartRadio, is where you'll find the show. But if you have downloaded pretty much any kind of podcast app, you'll find us. We're on about getting close to 25 platforms now. So you'll find us anywhere and everywhere. And of course, you can listen to the show wherever you are in the world, which we have listeners all over the universe.
That's bigger than the people of the world that I just introduced.
It
today.
is. And you know, when they decide to move to Mars, we'll be there as well. I'm sure of it. So there's plenty of places to find us. And you know what we love more than anything? We love to see pictures of your pets. So whatever platform you're on, post pictures of your pets. People share with me their birthdays, their pets' birthdays, their pets taking up their bed where they can't get in their bed. I always say this, they steal your heart and then they steal your bed after you adopt an animal. And I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. In fact, if I got in bed and my dogs were not in bed, I'd think there's something strange going on. So, and there have been times where I've gone to get them from wherever they are in the house and bring them into the bedroom. So they make sleeping so much nicer, don't they, Jim? Because they make you relax.
They're warm.
Although, if Jim gets in bed late, I am very insistent that he must not disturb the dogs no matter where they are. So that means he has to contort around them, or what did I tell you to do the other night?
Sleep on the floor.
No, what did I tell you to do the other night?
Oh, you're insane.
I told you to get in the bottom of the bed. like Willy Wonka's grandparents.
Yeah, I know my place.
I said, look, just get in the bottom. You're not disturbing everybody. And when Jim comes back from a gig, Jim's a musician, and he calls to say, I'm on my way home. I said, yeah, be quiet. Don't disturb us.
Yep, I
And
know my
that's-
place.
And that's how it should be.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, so we had an early start. Well, no, not that early. I mean, we get up early, but we don't normally leave the house. But Jim made hair appointments for us at 7 a.m. this morning, which was difficult for me
Born out of necessity.
to leave the house that early to go and get my hair done. And I was half asleep when I got there. But yeah, our hair looks good, though, not that you can see it on the radio. Well, we've got a great show lined up for you today. A really, really, really great show lined up. And it's taken me a while, not my guest, but me a while to get this coordinated. And I'm so glad we've finally done this, because who I'm bringing on the show this morning is Kenn Bell. He's a filmmaker, and he's the founder of Dog Files. And you may have already seen some of his documentaries. And I had already seen one before I knew about Kenn, and he was brought to my attention by a mutual friend of ours who we'll talk about as well, because we love her. And since then, I've watched another one of his documentaries, and I think you'll find them very, very interesting and really get to the heart of why animals are so important to us and our relationships with them. And it's funny, even with friends of mine that work in rescue, if I say, hey, check out this documentary about, the first thing they say is, will it make me cry? And that's always hard, because some people will not watch a movie. Well, I must admit, I started watching, what's the one movie, Harley and Me or whatever? I didn't finish that one. I knew where that was going. I was like, I'm not having that. But Kenn's documentaries are very interesting and very important, I think, to demonstrate why, in particular, dogs have some very important jobs in this world, and why our bond with them is so important. And they're great documentaries. So his website, oh gosh, did I write it down? Oh, I'm going to slap myself on the hand here right now. It's either the dog.
He's listening.
I know he's either
standing by. He's going to get you.
Hang on, I haven't done my bit yet. Rushing me along. I'm gonna check with Kenn, but the tagline is for his website Dog Files is showing the world that dogs deserve our love, care, and respect, and I fully agree with that. So, with that said, welcome to the show, Kenn.
Hey, great to be here, Sam.
Oh, I'm so glad. You sound good, by the way, as well. You sound really good in my headphones. Good. I'm happy about that. Well, we finally get to speak. I would say it's been a little while, hasn't it? But thanks to Christina of Deaf Dogs Rock is how I got to learn about you and what you do. So I guess we have to give Christina of Deaf Dogs Rock a little shout out there and a big thank you for that. So you're Florida, is that right? You're in Florida?
I'm in Orlando, Florida now. I used to be in New Jersey, New York area.
Oh, so you've done a big flip-flop, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, now I'm kind of used to the warm weather, and I'm glad I'm not up there.
You soon acclimate, don't you?
And the gray.
Yes, and I had a tough time with the stickiness there, coming from the desert.
It's in the summertime. It's like the winter time somewhere else. You stay inside and put the air conditioner on.
Yep, we live it ourselves in summer here. I get so excited when we come out of summer. Unlike my family and friends in England who get excited when they come out of winter, it's the opposite, and it can be tough. Those temps can be really, really difficult at times.
Yeah, I mean, we're still, believe it or not, it's only 75 today. We've had 6 months of 70 to 80 degrees, so it's been beautiful.
Gosh, that's
very low humidity.
That's nice.
So yeah, so even if you just come here for 6 months, the snowbirds are not stupid.
No, they're not. Follow the snowbirds. They know what's going on, don't they? So how long have you been in Florida for?
2.5 years now.
All right. So wow. Yeah, we went down to go to like Disney and what have you, and those storms that almost like clockwork hit in the afternoon. It's crazy.
We've had a lot less rain this winter than we usually do, but It'll pick up, and it always comes back.
It always comes back. I know we're just enjoying what we can now before it turns into the earth, the surface of the sun.
The thunderstorms are better down here than they were in New Jersey because they're during the day.
Yeah.
So the worst thing about the thunderstorms were the dogs walking around the bedroom and you can't sleep. You're like, all right, so the next hour and a half, you can't sleep. But that doesn't happen at night here. Usually, it's always around 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
and then it's gone, and then an hour later, you don't even realize it rains.
I know, this is what we noticed, and we're like, okay, so I guess this is what happens daily, and then it just disappears, and then you just get on with your day, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it is a jungle. It is technically a jungle down here. So
when you talk about it like that, yeah, because look at the animals down there that survive in those kind of environments.
Way too many snakes.
I couldn't even. I've had an episode with 2, and I just can't. I still having flashbacks.
Well, I always say that I used to live in San Diego for a little while, but you could say the same thing about Vegas.
You could.
You know, if Vegas is one sprinkler breaking away from becoming a desert, and Florida is one lawnmower breaking before it comes to jungle again. So this is what us humans do. Right?
I know, it's true. Our irrigation has a leak, so we keep having to turn it off entirely and then turn it on to water until we figure out what it is. But yeah, if I would be one sprinkler away from the whole thing just dying.
Yep.
That's a funny way to put it. Well, let me get your website correct. The website is
thedogfiles.com.
Thedogfiles.com. Yes. And I trolled all through your website yesterday.
Some people have been sitting on dogfiles.com for 10 years now. Who knows?
You're like,
nothing's really on it.
You're like, I'd like that. Come on, people. Yeah. If you're not doing anything after 10 years, it's like, come on, sell it.
I agree.
Just give it up. Give it up for a good cause.
But at this point, you have all your links on the dog files, so it's kind of like, you know.
Yeah, so
people are Googling. They don't even, barely type stuff in anymore. So.
It's true. And the thing is, there's a history now, isn't there, of the dog files. That, like you say, sometimes if you switch over, you can lose a lot of that traffic and history.
That's what they say.
It makes you crazy. I'll be honest with you. It starts to get a little bit overwhelming with SEO and now everything has to be HTTPS secured. And if you haven't done that, you need a secure seal certificate now. And there's always something new.
I have a secret about all that.
What is it?
It doesn't matter 90% of the time.
I have a feeling
if you put up something good and you get it on social media, and people pick up on it, you don't need any of that. And then it naturally comes to you because a lot of people are coming to your site.
That's right.
So we probably spend 80-20 rule. We probably spend 80% of the time on something that matters 20%.
Yep. I'd have to agree with you because
it just doesn't matter.
And it also depends. I think a lot of it is also what time do you have to commit to that also.
And the gurus out there, they need to make money, so they have to make sure that it's an important thing.
That's right, and make us feel like we've got to do more and more and more, which I don't always have time for more and more. But I think with now, and think about this, how so much stuff is on demand now. That, you can just say, go to your Facebook page and I'll find, a link to the video, to the documentary. Oh, they're doing a Facebook Live. So you're reaching people directly. You've also already got your audience as well. And I think it's a lot easier that way, particularly with Facebook Live. Do you do much Facebook Live at all?
No, it's weird. Facebook, it's like an abusive relationship.
Oh my gosh, it is. Yes,
they're so down deep. They're so, of course I'm imbuing a company with human, emotion here, but they're so rotten. I think they've really hurt nonprofits and places and adoptions, and animal shelters. They've really hurt us because they put us on the level with Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And it's really been a shame what they've done. When I started out, I was on Facebook. I took an ad out. I paid a few $1,000s for an ad that said, "Hey, you like dogs? Come over here."
Right.
I mean, to me, that's organic. I don't think that's fake because I'm not getting fake people. I just said, "Hey, if you like dogs,
come on over." It's an invite.
Like Dog Files on Facebook. So let's say you spend like $5,000 on that over the course of a year. got up to like 20 or 30,000 followers, and then let it go on its own.
Yeah.
And now I'm upwards of 365,000, I think, or something like that.
That's huge.
And now they want money to reach the people that you paid for.
Your network that you built.
I mean, that's the mob, isn't it?
Yes.
Like they want money twice, and it's like, I am not. Most of us are not making money, or if we get a check for $200 in the mail, wow, great.
Yeah.
And they really hurt.
Yes, they do.
All these people by telling us that we have to pay money for an ad and then you pay, $100 and you get an extra few thousand people when you have 300,000 followers.
Yeah.
What they should have done, I thought, was charge me $100 a year for every 100,000 followers.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll pay you $300 a year, sure, no problem. And you'll get that from millions of groups that will pay that.
That's true.
But instead, you have millions that are like, I'm not paying $20 or $30 or $100 for every post I put up.
Absolutely.
And so no one's doing it.
No
I don't
one.
think anyone's doing it. No one.
We've never done it. We've never done it. I think on principle, like you say, I built that network of people, and all my people should be able to see what I post. And it's a pay to play, isn't it? That's what it is. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's really bad. And like I said, not having different levels is one thing, but also equating the fact that because you have a few 100,000 followers, that you're like a millionaire business or something like that is ridiculous.
Yeah, the assumption.
It's just not that true,
And it does hurt, like you say, charities, rescues, people trying to adopt animals.
Yeah.
If people can't clap their eyes on the post, then you're really hurting them. And they've built that network of people that really just love animals. And it's I mean, there's a couple of workarounds, but you can't always get people to, sign up for notifications. You can't always get people to do that. It's always like jump another hoop.
Yeah, it's a real shame, and we've always seen on the internet that great big companies and websites come and go, but it feels like they're so entrenched that they're not going anywhere. But you would think, you would think it's ripe right now. I think YouTube's ripe right now for someone else to come in also, because people are getting so tired of YouTube. Because they're getting very strange on both sites, and they're starting to pick and choose like what views you should have on these sites, and it's hurt. And people are getting used to that, and they're saying, whatever. I get the whole thing that it isn't censorship, it isn't the government, but as we can see, censorship is coming from corporations now. It's not really coming from the government. It's a different form of censorship, and it's coming from corporations, and they're a business and they can do what they want, but that's not the way to run business. We can also say no.
Yeah.
And so if one does come along, if they could move people over, I think, if they have a lot of money, I think it could happen now. I think it could happen for Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook.
I agree.
We'll see.
I agree, because I think when you're trying to do things for good, it is just so frustrating. You're like, I'm trying to help animals. I'm trying to get some adopted. I'm trying to raise some money for it. And when we do events and we put a Facebook event together, which at times I'm thinking, oh, gosh, I invite everybody. Everybody says they never see the invite. And I end up tagging everybody, which everybody hates. But I usually do it a couple of weeks before the event if I've seen that certain people I know would normally have bought a ticket. And they go, oh, my gosh, I never even saw it. And even though you've been posting, it's hard because you're trying to raise funds, and it's it is an abusive relationship.
Yeah, and I also get the thing like, well, you're not a nonprofit, and I'm like, technically,
yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm not registered as a nonprofit, but with the amount of time I've put in compared to what I've got now, I would say I'm in the red. I mean, just because I'm not registered as a nonprofit, or just because once in a while you get a check for something because you worked on something, doesn't mean you're making money.
That's right. That is so right.
Yeah, they should have another category below nonprofit called "Don't Even Come Close."
Yep.
So when did you start? Have you done filmmaking your whole life?
I was an artist.
Oh, okay.
I went to school for traditional art, pencil and paper. And then I realized that there wasn't, I didn't really see a place where I was going to make a living, and so I got a computer, a
Uh-huh.
Mac, and I started doing that stuff. And I worked at some comic book companies, and then I wound up working for a lot of pharmaceutical advertising agencies
How interesting.
uh, in New York City, and did Photoshop work for them. And then I decided that, and I was always into story. That's why I worked for comic book companies. And I decided that it wasn't about comic books or about this or that. It was just about telling stories.
Storytelling, yeah.
And I found I had a knack for telling visual stories.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got more and more into doing video work. And then I was in one of those places where I was doing lots of corporate video work, and I was dealing with a lot of companies that, people hire you, and then they hire you for what you do, and then they sit there and micromanage everything you do.
Oh, yeah.
And I always say, they don't do that to electricians and plumbers
No.
and carpenters, but they do that to anybody involved in the arts or anything creative. Even like work having a dog site. I actually have people argue with me about dogs.
Oh, it's bizarre.
And people who don't have their own site or haven't trained about dogs or haven't spent 10 years in the industry, and I'm trying to explain, oh, no, your dog isn't doing that. It's doing this. Well, no, I don't think so. And I'm like,
Oh, that's
all right.
frustrated.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's just like I can't,
You
So
can't,
it's
can
funny
you?
that I always wound up in these realms where everyone did that. So it was not very satisfying doing those videos. And so one day I said to myself, I can't make a motion picture like Hollywood. I don't have 300 people, crew, and $5 million. But, I love my dog who I adopted a few years earlier, and he changed my life. And I think I can do as good as Animal Planet, maybe better.
Yes.
And and Animal Planet was going through that horrible ad campaign at the time. What was it about humans? Surprisingly Human, right?
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah, where they tried to shift everything, because they wanted more ratings. They wanted more ratings. So they were going through that, and I said, you know what, I could do better than them. I really could, and I don't need a crew. I need me and maybe one person. And so we went out and we started doing videos. The site started out as just me doing videos about dogs. And the first few were hard because people were like, who are you? Are you doing something weird? Do you want to film our shelter? Are you going to do that? And then once people saw that I was in it for the animals,
For the right reasons.
it got easier and easier. And then someone contacted me, a production company contacted me and liked my Hero Dogs of 9/11 video that I did.
Yeah, that's the one I watched. The first one before I even knew who you were.
Yeah, that was just using I forget the name of the group that's in charge in the United States of disasters.
FEMA.
Is it
FEMA?
Okay.
Those were FEMA photographs, and they are owned by the people. So I went on their website and I found everyone at 9/11 that I could find with a search and rescue dog in it or something.
That's how you did
And
that?
Yeah, and then I wrote the story and put it together, and it changed, and it really hit home. I lived in New York City during 9/11. I'm about a mile from it.
Are you kidding?
In
Wow.
Soho area. So it affected me a lot. I mean, now I would realize that I had a little like PTSD from it, just a slight amount.
I would believe that.
Never saying I'm anywhere near what a soldier actually fighting a war would have, but a little bit of that because of what happened.
To witness that, exactly.
Yeah, to be there. It was very frightening.
Well, you can't make sense of it because it doesn't make sense. It's not
No,
like
and
it's not logical. Why is this happening?
What a lot of people have forgotten over time is that everyone was wondering when the next hit was coming.
Oh,
We didn't
living
think
with
it-
that is terrible.
Nowadays, you're like, yeah, well, it was the one thing. But back then, we had 3 months of just constantly hearing fire trucks and ambulance and police cars, and the smell, the sulfur type smell that we smelled. And right below me, you couldn't even go any further down south because the army had blocked it all off. So when you put all these things together, plus, they were talking about, is it going to be a smallpox? Is it going to be a nuclear? So it was
living in a state of fear for a long time.
It was a very odd thing, and I don't at the time I didn't realize it, but then when I moved back to New Jersey and I started the Dog Files, the 9/11 thing. It's very emotional to me, and
It was an incredible documentary. Did you say 300 dogs that were
Um,
used?
300 dogs, and that's in the beginning. By the time it was over, it was thousands of dogs had come and gone because they were there over a year, right? And it wasn't all just searching because they knew pretty early on that no one had survived, but it was cadaver dogs
Oh,
and comfort dogs and stuff like that. But from there, a company contacted me and said, "Let's make a documentary, an hour-long documentary based on that short." And so for Animal Planet Canada, which is a completely different company. They leased the name.
I see.
Yeah, a completely different company. We went and we made an hour feature, and I worked on that as executive producer, one of the directors, and uncredited writer. Um, so we did that, and that came out really well.
How long did that take,
We
Ken, to from beginning to end?
That was a quick one. That was, probably 40 people, 3 editors. We worked on that and had that done in 3 or 4 months.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that was a fast one because it had to be that way to get it done in time for 9/11.
Right.
Yeah, and so that went really well. But it was only in Animal Planet Canada. One of the sad things was when it was playing in Canada, I turned on Animal Planet here, and hillbilly hand fishing was on.
They didn't show it.
No, what I knew it wasn't going to be on, but it was just like they didn't buy it at the time,
What a shame.
and it was like, really, guys?
Yeah, it
You're
happened on the
ignoring
soil here.
You're ignoring 9/11. No other network at that point at the 10-year anniversary was ignoring 9/11.
No.
And I was like, that's kind of sad. And then a year later, they bought it, and it's played at different times, like every 9/11 for like 2 or 3 years now on Animal Planet USA. And then I played it at Blog Pause. I think
Uh-huh.
it was when Blog Pause was in where were they? Salt Lake City. I believe it was Salt Lake City. I asked them, because I'd been going to Blog Pause for a few years. I asked them if they had any place where we can play the film, and they don't normally do anything like that, but they did it for me, which I appreciate
Yeah.
to this day. And so we played it at lunch, probably the best thing we could have done because everyone was sitting there.
Yeah.
And then I gave an award out to someone in Salt Lake City who had a search and rescue dog, and her last search and rescue dog that had passed was at 9/11 with her, at Ground Zero. And so we brought her up and gave her an award. It was very emotional.
I was
And,
gonna
you were
say.
saying about crying at the documentaries. I don't necessarily, I don't make documentaries that are cringeworthy. I'm not going to make a documentary where someone's hurting a dog and just keep the shock going.
Yeah.
That type of thing. I try and make that. If you're crying because it's good tears.
Yes, yeah, that you relate or you're
There's
yeah.
a difference, because you just love dogs and stuff like that.
and
You're
you
not
want
crying.
and you want people to watch the documentary.
Yeah, if I was to do one on dog fighting,
Oh.
I would sneak in a clip of dog fighting halfway through for a minute or less, just to show people what it was, but not to dwell on it. I don't want people to think that they're just going to be down the whole time, and I would never end on any kind of emotional beat like that. But so I played it there, and ASPCA saw it. They were there.
Ah.
And they contacted me and said that they wanted to make a documentary about a new study they're doing in New Jersey. And I'm like, well, that's perfect since I live in New Jersey. So they started a behavioral research study.
Is it the first that's been done?
I think so.
Because I've not
Pretty
heard of one
sure.
prior to this.
Yeah, at least where it's a study where they're actually keeping, Excel sheets and keeping track and seeing which works better and hopefully publishing a paper in the future to help other shelters, at least in that way. So they were going to start that up, and they were going to use the back half of St. Hubert's in Madison, New Jersey, which is actually where I adopted my dog Max.
Oh.
Who started me on this route. Like, all this stuff wouldn't exist without Max.
It's funny how they inspire. We just recently lost one of our dogs, and she was the one that inspired us to. change careers, help animals, do a radio show, a clothing line for dogs, and we started filming a TV series. And it's quite profound, isn't it? How they come into your life and make these changes.
I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. I wouldn't have made a documentary that's on Netflix right now. I wouldn't have made.
It's the power of animals, isn't it? The bond that we have.
It's kind of interesting. You like wonder where your life would have taken you without it. It would have been definitely a different thing.
Yeah,
you know?
it would be. And I love these kind of stories. You know, when people say, "Well, I started this because my dog or my cat, or I saved a life and I wanted to give back, and I did it in my cat's name or my dog's name." I think it's wonderful. I love it.
Yeah, it is something else. And yeah, so basically they said, "Do you want to come in?" So we worked out a deal. And I went in there for about 6 months, a few times a week. And then for the next 6 months, I came back every 2 or 3 weeks for a day or two of shooting to get more interviews and stuff, and slowly put together this documentary. And 4 years later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a long time. 4 years later, we premiered it, the shorter version. We premiered it on Animal Planet last April 16th.
Incredible.
It was on Animal Planet, which is one of the goals they had. They wanted to get on Animal Planet. We got that. And then we had a premiere of the and we also had the premiere of it in Brooklyn last like a week before that, I believe, something around there, which was really cool. And then in November, we got the word, which is really what I wanted more than anything, is we got the word that Netflix accepted it.
Which
was gigantic. Netflix is the biggest in the world.
Yes, it's impressive. But you know what? Just hold that thought for a second, because I want to talk to you about Netflix after we run a couple of commercials, because that is huge. And I want to know how the heck that even, you start the ball rolling on that. But hang on in there, Ken. We're going to run a couple of commercials. And when we come back, we'll pick up right where we left off. So hang on in there. You listen to Vegas Rock Dog Radio with me, Sam, your host. We'll be right back.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
At Carl's Jr., not only do we make you happy with our delicious charbroil burgers, but we also make your dogs happy. When you come through our drive-thru with your furry friend, we'll offer your dog a treat. If not, always ask for one. We love to see their smiling faces. Our website, carlsjroflasvegas.com, has a treat for its customers too, with free coupons anytime, so be sure to visit us regularly. Carl's Jr. is a proud and active supporter of dog adoption in our community. You can find us at Carl's Jr. of Las Vegas or on Twitter at Carl's Jr. of Vegas.
Pet Scene Magazine is dedicated to Las Vegas pets and the people who love them. It's a source of news and information for pet lovers, as well as offering valuable coupons and specials on pet products and services. Find them online at www.lvpetscene.com or look for them on Facebook.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Welcome back, everyone. Just before the break, if you're just listening in, I am chatting away to Kenn Bell, filmmaker and founder of The Dog Files. And he's got a couple of documentaries right now that are on Netflix. And this when I saw that, I was so excited. I'm like, Netflix, yes! It's huge. Netflix is huge. I would think Netflix is probably more popular than Hulu, wouldn't you say, Ken?
Yeah, I think it's the biggest.
It's massive.
I really don't think there's anything bigger.
And they're doing their own content now, aren't they? So they're actually...
Yeah, tons of it, yeah.
And I love that. It's really exciting. And to be able to watch things on demand is brilliant. So how do you even... I can imagine that everyone's trying to get their documentary on Netflix. Is it a long process? Is it a chance of a lifetime if you get selected? How does that work?
Well, obviously, I had to put together a good documentary. That was the start. Nothing would have happened if it wasn't a solid documentary. And I'm really proud that it was, because, you don't always know what's going to happen when you're making a documentary. The leader of the group that was doing the rehabilitation, Kristen, she was fantastic on camera.
Very good. I will say that.
Right? Like, what if she wasn't?
Yeah.
So there's all these little things that you really have very little power over, that we would have had to change, and we didn't have to change any of it. It worked well. It was a good place, even so much as that it was a new shelter, so they had more color in it and less ugly, dingy concrete.
Less like a prison.
Yes,
yeah.
less like a prison, and so all these things kind of fell into place, and and again with Kristen, that was the main thing, that she was in charge, and she was great on camera. She was always willing to, hey, I'm coming in next week. What day? And she would give me a day, and we'd do it. And she was great about it. So you have to have all that stuff down first. Then the second part is a kind of a cop-out answer. You have the ASPCA behind you.
Yeah.
And the ASPCA hires a group in New York City that does digital distribution, and they
Wonderful.
have contacts with Hulu and Netflix. It's extremely hard. I don't think you can just walk off the street and go to Netflix and say, "Hey, play my doc."
So you've got to go through some channels.
Like this digital distribution company, they will get it on iTunes for you. They will get it on Netflix for you. They will try the different things. Now, thankfully, their strategy was what my strategy would have been: is go for Netflix first.
Yeah.
You can do iTunes later. You can do everything else.
But go big.
Netflix is Netflix, it's free. No one even thinks they're paying for it.
It's true.
Right? It's free. So it's so much. What would have been easier, saying, "Hey, go spend $10 on iTunes to see my doc," or, "Hey, it's on Netflix, Second Chance Dogs."
Seriously, I do. And the thing is, you pay your monthly fee, which is peanuts, and you watch one film or one documentary, and you're like, "Well, I got my money's worth already." So it does feel free, and and people are excited because they just go straight there, and it's easy.
Yeah, so it worked out well. It's great. It looks great on there. We have 5 stars, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to get 5 stars and to keep it. And if you look on Twitter, there's mentions of it every day on Twitter. People are still discovering it. That's one of the greatest things. It's on there for 60 months, and about 6 months are up there. So it's on there for another year. I don't know if they'll re-up or whatever, but that's fine by me. 16 months on Netflix is great.
It really is. I don't know if you know of this other documentary, Pet Fooled, by Cole Harrington. He was on my show a couple of weeks ago, and his documentary is about the commercial pet food industry and how it's not so great. And he just got on Netflix, and strangely enough, on April Fool's Day. So people weren't sure if he was. I was like, I wouldn't joke about that if it wasn't true. And again, he's just thrilled beyond, because he knows the reach. And when you've got a message, that's
and especially for the filmmaker, we're probably a little less worried about the money we're making and more about how many people see it.
Yeah.
We want people to see it. And
do they give you statistics of who's watched it?
They don't even give Kevin Spacey statistics for his Washington show.
They don't.
No, they don't give anyone, and that gives them power, right? That allows them to do what they want to do. So no one knows statistics. I know that it's mentioned every day on Twitter.
Right.
People talk about how much they like it. I know it's got 5 stars, and
it'd be kind of nice to know.
Let's say millions of people. Let's just say millions of people have watched it. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, that sounds really good to me. And who can even dispute that?
Only Netflix can.
Only Netflix, and they're not going to do that anyway.
And they're not going to.
Exactly.
It is a bit odd. You kind of would like to see it, but then again, maybe you don't want to see it. But it's on there. Like I said, I just don't think you would see so many people talking about it or contacting me if it was seen by 100 people.
Yeah, it wouldn't still be on there. But it didn't work out too well.
On Thanksgiving Day weekend, it was trending on there too, in their trending list, which was great. What a great family documentary for the whole family. Kids will learn a lot.
You hit the nail on the head there. It's a family documentary. Everyone can sit down and watch that, and it's a very good balance of the seriousness of how animals end up in abusive homes and puppy mills and those type of things, and the seriousness of the chances that they get to actually be adopted when they come from that situation. There's a big... What they're doing in the documentary is bridging the gap, aren't they? Because we know if they don't bridge that gap, people look at animals with behavioral problems that come from these situations and go, no chance, we're going to euthanize them. And
I know that documentaries have, I know that family idea is a little bit like a dirty word like a family movie.
Yeah.
I don't make, to me it's like Star Wars. You know,
Oh,
it's just a movie for everyone.
it is. It
But
is.
it's not pandering
No.
to children, and it's not childish.
No, it's
But
not.
they can understand it, and maybe they'll tear up too a little bit, and it's not the worst thing in the world.
No, it's not, because
to allow your kids to have some emotions and to get touched by something,
well, I think that's the
and
difference.
to learn something.
Well, I think that's the difference, because you had a message, and the message happens to apply to everybody. It wasn't, I went out to make a family documentary. It just happens that when it was done, you know what, everybody can watch this, and the message is important, and the stories are great. You get very invested in these little dogs, these characters, and you're willing them on, and you want them to do well, because you want them to get in a home, and you're so happy when they do. And I think what it demonstrates more than anything, because there's this terrible idea, and it also comes from shelters too, that there's no hope. But I've interviewed, and I'm friends with Richard Hunter, who adopted one of Michael Vick's dogs, and a lot of those dogs went on to be therapy dogs. So don't tell me we can't work with them and make a difference. And I think what your documentary does is says, this is the way it can be done, and we really should start embracing this and adopting this, because it's important for them to be able to live and not be euthanized because of a behavioral problem.
I mean, just
that's
a
not
little
their
thing.
fault.
Yeah, I mean, the documentary is basically about, they started a place because some dogs need a little extra help when they rescue them from a hoarding case or from a puppy mill. They need a little extra help because they grew up without any humans around them. So they're very frightened of things. And, going through a door is frightening, going up some stairs because they never done it. What does grass feel like? And so they're not ready to go home, because a normal person, this is the dog that'll probably wind up back at the shelter. So
that's right.
They're taking a few months, but they're recording it and they're studying it to see what's the quickest and best ways to get these dogs better. And so the story follows a group of dogs, their first group of dogs, right until they get their forever home.
Yeah.
And going back to what I said about you have to make a good documentary if you want to get on Netflix, is those owners. There's one thing that's really important to me is to have truthfulness in my documentary. Did I make some people walk up a set of stairs a second time because I needed the shot? Sure. But I didn't lie about anything. Those were not fake owners. We didn't go and pick the most photogenic, cutest owners. We just it was like,
it's just the way the story unfolded.
We got one owner that's a woman with her 3 daughters that are cutest daughters you ever seen in your life.
Oh yes, they were.
Yeah, the one lady adopted the dachshund Lily.
Yes,
and she's 80. She's like 82 years old, and that's when I knew we had a documentary, when we went to her house that day, and it was the perfect day of shooting. She didn't want to get done in 5 minutes. She let us stay for 4 or 5 hours. She had this great personality. She had these great comments. There was little dachshund memorabilia everywhere throughout the office. She had a beautiful backyard. And that's when I said, we have the end, and it's great.
And
and so we have these great endings. And it really just all really came together.
The stories were lovely, and in particular that lady, because I remember her saying, and I have to walk with her, so it's good for me. And they help you relax, and they de-stress you. And I just thought it was lovely. The girls, though, oh my gosh, how in love were they with that dog?
Yeah, they were great. And, that was a snippy dog that would, bite, and not anymore, right? So they did a wonderful job. I think the Lily getting adopted by the older lady, I think that's probably one of the most proud scenes I think I've ever shot in my life. If someone said, watch something you did, I would say watch that one scene, because it just hit everything.
It's tender, and it shows that love that you just have, which sometimes you can't quite explain it. how fabulous that connection is. But I really, really loved it because I will watch it again. Jim didn't get to see it, but we'll watch it again because I thought it was really great. And for those people that say, "Will I cry?" Yeah, happy tears. So watch the documentary, and I'll put all these links up because I want people to see this.
Yeah.
In particular, I want people in rescue to see this because I'm still coming across people, and our own local shelter is very much like that. Is why are we not going all out? I don't understand why we're not going all out for these animals. You can. Our shelter has a lot of money. We don't have a money issue. I think it's more of I think it's a we've always done it that way issue, and I want people to see new ways of doing things and adding in some elements, like you say, the training. To me, would in my mind would be a number one requirement if you are a rescue. I think that would be the number, and it's not the case. And we have a ton of rescues here in town, and I don't know many with good, certified, positive reinforcement trainers on board. And that, to me, is a massive component and one of the keys to successful adoption. And that's what I loved about the program.
Everything costs money, I
It
think
does.
that's part of it.
It does.
And I mean, the latest statistics are we're down to like about 2 million dogs being euthanized a year in shelters.
Wow.
About 5 or 6 years ago, it was around 4.
Yeah, it was high.
In the 70s, it was 17 million.
Oh, gosh.
So
that makes me shudder.
It's a huge success story. It'll never go down all the way. There's always going to be something. But we're really getting there. I think we need to – I hope my documentary educates people because we all know – those people – because we all know them, those people that are like, yeah, I don't know. Why do I don't want a dog. I don't want to have to be home all the time. I want to go do things. I want my freedom. I don't want a dog. And then you're like – and then you see someone like the people who adopted these dogs in my documentary, like the old lady who adopted the dachshund, and she just knows.
Yeah.
Like I need an animal.
Yeah.
To feel whole.
Yeah.
And try and move just a few more of these people over to that side, and we could knock it to 1 million or less.
I think so too.
I don't honestly ever see it completely gone.
No.
But I think we could still get it down to under 1 million a year.
I think, for me, I'd rather be at home with my dogs. That is the truth. To me, Netflix, my dogs, a nice little blanket and some snacks. We're happy as anything. It's just like, for me, the perfect night out. And I was talking to someone this morning, actually, the friend who did our hair, and someone was saying, oh, I don't let my dogs on the furniture. And I thought, that is so bizarre to me because unless you're crawling on the floor with your pets, how are you cuddling them? How are you putting them on your lap?
They're not.
You're not.
That's odd. Now, we also have to go, like, not everyone is going to be like us, and that dog still has a decent home.
Yes.
And he's not out on the streets.
Yes,
or
exactly.
He's not being beaten up or starved.
Yeah.
But, you can't always figure out the psychology
You
of
can't, because I'm
everybody.
like, go, oh, no. I go, would you let your kids on the couch? Well, yeah. Well, why don't you let your dogs on the couch? Because they got dirty feet. I'm like, oh, kids can be worse than dogs.
When Max passed about 2 years ago, right after I moved to Florida, but Remy's here right now. He's laying below me here sleeping.
Oh.
They were so good back in the day that I could go out for a job and come home in 12 hours, and they didn't do anything in the house, and they were great, and I took them outside and took care of them. I also think the other way is I try and tell people you have to have a life too. You do. You can't sit home all the time because of your dogs. Now, Remy now a year ago was he's about in July he'll be 13. He was diagnosed with an enlarged heart.
Mm.
So as like Max, when he was getting close to the end, they always give you that damn medication that makes them pee all the time.
Yeah.
That takes the water away from their heart, which is just the worst and I'm on the 3rd floor.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Of a walk up, so it gets rough. So that's a little harder now. But, I go to Rover. This isn't an ad for them. I go to rover.com. People are like, I can't find anyone. I'm like, just go to rover.com.
Oh, yeah.
Next week I'm going somewhere for 2 days, and it's going to be 13-hour days. And so I'm paying $30 to someone to watch them for 2 days.
Yeah. And it's worth it.
And they love animals, and they have a backyard with a fence, and so they can just let them run around and come back in.
And it gives you peace of mind.
Yeah, and but you have to, because I have to have a life too. I have to make a living.
Yeah.
I have to do all these things. I don't want to see. I also don't want to see anyone regretting the fact that they don't feel they have time to themselves. You do. You have to make it.
You do. You just
Um,
have to be a little bit more planned out. I mean, we used to, Jim and I, literally, we could wake up on a Saturday morning and go, come on, let's go to LA, and we'd pack and leave. Well, it's a little different now. We have a bit more planning to do, and I actually pack for the dogs first if we're not taking them. They go and have their little
Yeah.
vacation. But all it takes is a bit of planning, because I think until you get a pet and you realize how fabulous they are, you don't realize that you'll make those changes quite easily. It's not a big
yeah,
deal.
you know what? You know what? Also, like many times, like you want to know what it's like without a pet. When I drop them off to the dog sitter, and then I go home and I have that one night before I have to get on a plane in the morning at 6 in the morning. And you come home and it feels like death.
Doesn't
in the
make
house.
sense. It doesn't make
It just
any.
feels like a dead house.
Yeah.
Like a home turned into a house. And to have the dogs back, it makes it a home again.
It
Like, you
honestly,
really-
it does. It's a very bizarre feeling. It almost feels like it's not your house. You go, what? I don't understand.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel normal without them.
But like I said, because I doing the dog files and having my website and trying to. I mean, to me, it's like it's not really showing the world anymore; it's educating the world.
It is
you know?
educating.
And I want people to also know that, if your dog isn't sleeping on your bed, you're not a bad person.
No.
You're taking care of a dog. I don't want them to think that. I spent
They're not
many
in a
years with
shelter.
Max and Remy on the bed next to me, and then one day they weren't, and I got the best night of sleep in my life. So I set up a nice thick bed next to my bed, right on the ground. They can look up and see me. I could put my hand down and pet them, and they were fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some people are like, some people are like, yeah, but my dogs don't like that. I'm like, trust me, you just have to make the decision. Some people don't understand. Like, you still are the boss. You love your animals. It doesn't mean you're mean to them.
Exactly.
But you can still be the boss, and in 3 days they'll stop bothering you, and they'll sleep where you want them to sleep.
Or what you could do is what my friend Paul Shortino did. Now, Paul Shortino was part of Quiet Riot, and they had a bed built that was like 10 foot wide. I kid you not. Because they've got galgos. Are you familiar with the galgos del Sol dogs in Spain? They're used for hunting, but after it's a very short hunting season, and as soon as the season's over, they abandon them. They injure them.
Wow, that happens a lot down here in the south.
Yeah,
too, which is a very strange, odd thing.
Terrible, isn't it? They actually injure them. I don't want to go into any horrific details, but they injure them so they can't walk from the campo. So they can't survive. Oh, it's horrific. And there's something they do that's even worse than that, but I won't talk about it because it's so horrible. But they're quite big dogs. So they look like a greyhound. They're kind of part of the greyhound family, but they're quite large dogs. So he's got 3 of them and a big, giant black Labrador. So they had that crazy bed built and they all fit in it. And I just thought it was the best thing ever. I'm sure it wasn't cheap by no means, but I'll send you a link for the Galgos del Sol. A friend of mine has, she's British. She moved out to Spain and she moved there with her husband and kids for a more quiet, simpler life, and then came across this, why were there so many dogs on the streets and why they all injured. And now she has I'm saying single-handedly, but it was her vision to raise money, and she bought land and she's built sections of her kennels and her runs, and she's in the process of finishing the reception area and the education she does in schools and the billboards. It's phenomenal what she's done, and you know what? It would make for an amazing documentary. I will tell you that, Ken. It is, because the plight of them is so bad. Everyone she picks up is injured or pregnant, and they're just on the streets, and she's catching them every day. But I will send you a link. Phenomenal person.
Down here in the south, that happens.
Is it through greyhound
at least
racing?
Up north in Jersey, like the woods, there are woods in Jersey, but generally, you walk 1 mile, you're going to hit houses, and because of the cold, they just don't have the amount of wild animals up there. But down here, every once in a while, I see it on Facebook. Someone does it, and it's Florida, guys. They've got snakes, panthers, bears, and alligators. This is not safe.
No.
I wouldn't. My mom lives about 15 minutes from me, and just 2 nights ago, she heard that the alligator walked through her backyard.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't cope.
You know, and that happened a year ago. You know, so it's like, oh, I'm dropping Remy off tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Let's make sure he doesn't get eaten. You know,
That's a huge concern. I'd be terrified. I'd be absolutely a wreck.
Yeah, and you know, someone in that neighborhood drives me out of my mind. I drive by their house. They keep their garage open 2 or 3 feet, and their dog is tied up. A little Cocker Spaniel is tied up in there, just hanging out. And I'm like, one day, because that's the path of that gator going from one lake to the other. One day, that dog's going to be there when that alligator's walking by, and it's going to be a meal on a stick. Right? It's just going to, and you know, and I'm just, it drives me out of my mind.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, that's why I do the things I do on the dog files, is to find ways to educate people. And maybe, you know, sometimes I get a little strong with people I barely know, you know, guilt them out a little bit.
That's okay. I'm all for that, Ken.
Like, you know, people need it a little bit.
They do.
I think a little shame goes a far way.
Oh, gosh.
We don't have anymore in this society.
I've said that more times than you can
imagine. I'm not
imagine.
extreme. I don't think animals are, you know, it's funny. I don't treat my dogs like they're a human. I'm not that kind of a person. To me, that's why I like them. They're not human. I don't want a human. I don't want my dog to talk to me all day. Give me a biscuit. 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 Take me out. That's what they would be doing.
That's what it would be. Yeah.
You know,
tickle my belly. Tickle my belly.
that would be it. You know, and so I love that they're not. That's to me what makes them so special.
Yeah.
And so, you know, but I also know they need to be taken care of, and they deserve the best from us.
Well, I know when anyone goes to your website, because there are a lot of videos on there, and you call it Dog Files because each file's a different thing. You cover history, breed information, health, life, art, adoption, culture, and style. So these are all the dog files. So there's something for everybody in there, and with a great educational component. Because if we look back, I think all of us to when we got our very first pet and what we knew, we'd be embarrassed, you know, to look back and go, oh, gosh, I didn't know that. Or I did that and I shouldn't. Oh, I didn't. Oh, gosh, I'm cringing.
In the 70s, we had a dog. He was an English Springer Spaniel named Benny. And my dad used him for hunting. And he lived in the backyard because they couldn't seem to train him to, you know, to not go to the bathroom inside the house. And my dad was an electrician, so he built him a heated house and a heated water.
Right.
And, you know, years later, like years later, I'd visit them, and Max and Remy would be walking around the house, inside the house, sitting down while we're watching TV, going to bed, going in my bedroom at night, and you know, and even my dad felt guilty, but it was the 70s, and we didn't really know better.
Oh, we didn't. There was no research going on. There was
we didn't. I feel guilty about that to this day, but you know what? Because of that, Max and Remy had awesome lives. And I went in the backyard and played with Benny all the time, but you know, you know, that's what happens, and it's changing. Now, down south, it might be a little closer to that still.
Yeah.
You know,
regionally, it's quite different.
When you're dealing with farmers and hunters, I mean, death is a little more of a normal thing for them. You know, they have animals and then they eat them. You know?
Yes.
It's a little. So you have to slowly but surely change people's minds as much as you can, and you have to do it, you know, nicely, and then you have to do it through law too. You know, you have to have a mixture of the two.
I'm glad you mentioned that because we don't have, despite how hot we are all year round, and it's horrific. It just seems as soon as it gets hot, people go, "Yeah, I'll leave my dog in my car." I never see them do it in winter. Well, yesterday the 2 bills came up finally for you cannot leave a pet in a hot car, period. And you will be able to smash a window. I would anyway, and I would take all the necessary precautions to make sure I was covered and video and all that stuff. And also the second one was for us to create an animal abuser registry. And so finally, like you say, through law, we have to change things as well. And, you know, like you say, tying dogs out, dogs in the back of pickup trucks that are just loose and terrified. That makes me
crazy.
I can't take it. I get so upset because a lot of people will say, well, they didn't hurt themselves, or they'll say, it's not that hot. And I go, but hang on a minute here. Putting a dog loose in the back of a truck is frightening. You're not thinking about their well-being. you're not thinking about your dog. That I see them crying. I mean, crying in the car because you left them. It is hot, but they're also really upset. Why would you do that to your dog? Forget the heat thing.
Let's be honest. Most of these laws are for the idiots of society.
They are.
I mean, listen, I've had my dog in my truck. My windows are down. It's 70 degrees out. I run into a store for 5 minutes. Nothing's going to happen to my dog. We know this. But there's always an idiot.
There's always
and it's Florida. And it's Florida. And that stops in about February or March for me because it's too hot.
Yeah, it's too, yeah.
And yet there's other people that they can't get that distinction.
No.
Right? And there's nothing you're going to do about it. So hence the law.
The law, exactly.
And I'm not a big law guy. I don't like a lot of the government
intrusion, no.
Or anything like that. But I make the exception for creatures that are alive.
Oh, yeah, because we have to stand up for them.
Yeah, no one else is going to.
You know, Ken, we saw someone leave their mother-in-law in a hot car without the car even being turned on. I kid you not. We got out the car and I said, there's an old lady in that car. And it's not even turned on. And it was so hot. It was horrible. She said, yeah, my daughter-in-law's gone inside to have a coffee with her friend.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, talking of idiots. And I'm like, you might not like your mother-in-law.
At least roll down the windows.
I know, I'm like, you might not like your mother-in-law, but that's a bit extreme, you know.
Wow.
But, oh, yeah, and people leave their kids in cars here all the time, and they die. And they'll not leave their ice cream from the grocery store in the car. They'll remember that, but they forgot their child. Mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Frightening people, and they're walking amongst us, Ken. And but that's why I love what you do, because if we can get them to watch half the things that you do, then there's going to be some level of education. But we got to get them there, haven't we? And Netflix is a very easy way to get people to watch your documentaries. So you've got how many on Netflix now? 2?
Just Second Chance Dogs is on Netflix. That's it.
Fantastic. Are you sure Hero Dogs is not on?
Hero Dogs 9/11 is not on there, and I don't own it or anything like that, so I have no idea what's going on.
When it'll pop up again.
It's a shame that it's not on there.
Yeah.
Where there's really nowhere for you to watch it right now, I don't think, except for maybe Animal Planet around 9/11.
Well, I'm glad I did get to see it when it was on there. It was very, very good.
If anyone personally wants to see it, I can show it to you on my laptop. If you just come by, I can play it for you. But yeah, we're not allowed to sell it or anything like that. So.
Oh, it's such a good documentary, though. But hopefully it will pop up again, like you say, around about 9/11, so people get to see it.
I hope so, because I like to get a nice catalog of dog documentaries up there that. I'm picky myself. I watch a documentary, and in 5 minutes, I know whether I can. It's too slow.
Right.
Usually, it's too slow, or it's good enough. You know what I mean? And so I watch some things, and I'm like, oh boy.
I'm a big fan of documentaries. I've always really enjoyed them. I've always been a fan of reading, true stories, biographies, those kind of things. So I really, really, really enjoy documentaries. But we'll be sharing Second Chance Dogs, most definitely. And we'll share your website and all your other social media stuff. It's been a pleasure, Ken. Are you going to be at Blog Pause?
I will be there. I'm nominated for an award, which I'm excited about.
Oh, that's fantastic.
For the trailer for Second Chance Dogs.
Oh,
Best sponsored video, I think.
That's brilliant. Well, you'll get to meet me because I've just decided I'm going to go this week, actually.
Oh, good. It's not far. Remy's coming with me, my dog.
Oh, fantastic.
Because we're 8 hours away, so we're going to drive up there.
Oh, me and Remy, we'll have a selfie together, me and Remy.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
And we've got Christina going. Now, here's the thing.
I
feel like I know Christina because we're friends on Facebook. She's been on the show, and I've been at Blog Pause, and she's been there and never got to speak to her, which is so weird, but I feel like we're such great friends. So to actually just physically, hug her will be great. That will be the full circle moment. And yeah. I think we'll have a good time. And our crew likes to have a little cocktail, so I think we're going to have a great time in the evenings.
We'll go hit the bar.
Sounds great to me, Ken.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, I really appreciate your time. I'm thrilled to be able to share what you do with our audience as well, and we'll always support what you do. And I'll get to see you in Blog Pause soon.
Awesome.
So great. Exciting.
It was great to talk to you.
And so we'll have a little cocktail and a little celebration when you get your award. And thank you so much for your time.
Well, I'm nominated. I may not win.
You better do. You better win.
Well, thank you.
Well, thanks, Ken. Have a really lovely weekend. And we'll direct people over to your website and put up the Netflix link as well.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Have a great weekend. Well, everybody, that was a great interview with Ken. I'd say it took a while for me to get it organized. Ken was always there ready and waiting in the wings, as we like to say sometimes. You'll really, really enjoy the documentary. You can definitely sit down with your family to watch it. And so now we're at the end of our show. You know how it goes. We always say, remember, you can help an animal in need. Either rescue, adopt, donate, volunteer, or share their information. Or watch Ken's documentary because it's educational. You'll learn something and you can pass that on to your pets. Rescue your next family member. Replace the word shop with adopt. And be kind to all animals. Big thank you to Kenn Bell for being my guest today of the Dog Files. It's been an absolute pleasure. And take a moment to run on over to his Facebook page and like it and watch the documentary on Netflix. And thank you to Jim, my producer, who's waving all kinds of signals to me right now to wrap up. And I'd like to thank you, the listeners, for being a huge part of the show every single week. Today, you've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio, where it is all about our pets, people, and pop culture. I'm your host, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs. And always kiss your pets good morning and good night. I'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.